T.I.'s son, King. King Harris has been arrested after not appearing in court and some other things connected to his actions.
We've seen celebrity scandals spin out of control before, but nothing hits as hard as what's happening right now with King Harris. Tonight, the Harris family is in shock, waiting by the minute for updates as King fights for his life in intensive care, bloodied, broken, and barely holding on after what insiders are calling a straight-up prison ambush. Reports from inside sound like a scene ripped from a gangster flick. King was jumped in a savage beatdown so violent that guards had to drag him out under armed escort, racing him to the prison infirmary while chaos exploded across his block. Sources say the attack was no fluke. It wasn't some random scuffle or routine initiation. Nah, this was a setup, a cold, calculated move to make King suffer, maybe even to send a warning shot to anyone on the outside who still thinks fame can shield you in the pen.
Trying to coddle him for? Let the man walk off, have some time to himself, sit down, soak it up, and come up with what he need to do.
As news of the assault tore across the internet, social feeds lit up like wildfire. Millions watched in real time as speculation turned into trending chaos. And the whispers got darker fast. Rumors say beef had been brewing behind those bars for weeks. One insider close to the Harris circle even claimed King had been marked for humiliation long before this night went down. Another insider tied to prison staff says King was already a marked man. Word is, inmates couldn't stand him, resenting not just the Harris name, but the way he carried himself, strutting around like he ran the yard. Too loud, too proud, too soft for this life, one inmate allegedly said, and the warnings were clear. Watch your back, because the wolves were circling. Those threats just got real, fast. The Harris household is now in full-blown crisis mode. Sources say T.I. hasn't closed his eyes since the beatdown, burning up phone lines to attorneys, politicians, and anyone with even a sliver of pull inside the Georgia DOC. One Atlanta insider even claims he's willing to throw cash, sign NDAS, or cut deals under the table, whatever it takes to pull King out before the streets behind bars finish what they started. And while T.I. is begging and bargaining, Tiny's running her own war room, locking down publicists, PR strategies, and legal defenses. But behind the cameras, the so-called United Front is cracking wide open. Insiders whisper that arguments between the two have turned explosive, with friends unsure if they're battling to save their son or battling each other as the stress shreds their marriage.
Yeah, so him being arrested isn't really like the shocker. It's him coming out and his, I guess, reaction to it, right? Because everybody's saying, King, you grew up privileged, bro. Why are you going down this path? Now he's talking about F the police, F12. So, you know, it just...
But here's the kicker. It might not even be about ego or attitude at all. The chatter from inside says this wasn't just a personal beef. The whispers point to something darker, a failed contraband hustle gone wrong. Some claim King refused to fall in line. Others say he tried to finesse the wrong crew. Either way, the message is clear. He messed with the wrong crowd, and they made him pay in blood. So was this just a petty clash that spun out of control, or was King Harris deliberately set up to be taken down? Some close to the investigation swear there's proof he was lured into a certain part of the prison where at least 3 inmates were waiting to jump him. Right at the same moment, the cameras mysteriously went dark. Of course, the Department of Corrections is denying any glitch, but one of T.Y.'s old road managers wasn't buying it. His words, "It's Georgia. Cameras break when they need to break. That's all you need to know." And with King still in unstable condition, the Harris family tension is spilling everywhere. This time not just in private, but all over social media.
I wouldn't have been able to do that if it wasn't for Family Hustle. Right. And it does come with some, you know, it's some adversity. It's some adversity to come with that. People get in your business.
Yeah.
People haven't forgotten that explosive Falcons game moment when T.I. put King in a headlock on Instagram Live after yet another blow-up over his upbringing. Millions watched as T.I. snapped, yelling, "You are embarrassing yourself and your family," while security scrambled and Tiny tried to calm things down. That was supposed to be rock bottom, but compared to now, it looks more like a preview of the chaos to come. Inside the prison walls, King was never really safe, but lately the vibe turned flat-out poisonous. Multiple sources say he was constantly taunted over his parents' infamous scandals. And yes, the whispers about those ugly human trafficking allegations dogging T.I., Tiny, and even King himself have become ammunition on the yard, making him a target every single day. King didn't make life any easier for himself. Word is he kept flexing for social media, trying to call out rivals and act like the next big thing in Atlanta. But the older inmates weren't buying into the hype. One former prisoner said it straight: "We're not here for the reality show. We don't care who your daddy is. If you don't pay what you owe or you run your mouth, you get handled." That's the cold rule of survival inside. And now King is facing that truth head on.
I graduated. That's the only good thing they posted of me going viral. I'm not on the media's good side. I don't know why, but it ain't.
Meanwhile, on the outside, T.I. is burning every bridge he's got left. He's reportedly threatening to blow the lid off prison conditions while at the same time pushing his team to quietly feed stories to friendly outlets, painting King as the victim of a corrupt system instead of the architect of his own downfall. Classic celebrity crisis tactics. But the real question buzzing through Atlanta is, has the damage already gone too far to clean up? And here's where things get even darker. Industry whispers say the Harris family's old legal baggage might have put a bigger target on King's back. Allegations tying the family to trafficking scandals keep surfacing, with King's name sliding into the conversation more and more. Sabrina Peterson, the same ex-friend who first blew the whistle, has publicly threatened to drop receipts that could pull not just T.I. and Tiny, but King himself deeper into legal quicksand. If that happens, we're not just talking about a prison beatdown anymore. We're talking about a scandal with no way out. The feds might have walked away without pressing charges, but in the court of public opinion, that stain never fades. And just when King's lawyers scramble to bury one scandal, another one bubbles to the surface. The latest rumor tearing through the yard is about a shady deal gone wrong.
Steve Sadow reached out to me looking to make a deal on behalf of T.I. and Tiny. And I told Steve Sadow that my clients want justice. So if the deal involves Tiny and T.I. turning themselves in and admitting to the crime that they've committed, then fine, we got a deal. But if it does not, then I would prefer to have the investigators do their work and to bring criminal charges against Tiny and
King's name allegedly scribbled on a contraband ledger tied to a promise he didn't keep. Word is he either snitched, backed out of a payment, or played the wrong crew, and in prison, that kind of betrayal always comes with a price in blood. Layer that with his privileged background, his messy reality TV past, and the Harris family's never-ending scandals, and you've got the perfect storm. To the inmates, King wasn't just another young buck trying to survive. He became the lightning rod for every grudge and every score waiting to be settled. Meanwhile, T.I. and Tiny's marriage is cracking under the weight of it all. Insiders describe their home like a powder keg about to blow. Tiny, we're told, is begging for compassion, pointing the finger at the system, at the toxic culture inside the prison. But T.I. isn't hearing it. He's convinced only raw force and high-powered connections can save King before it's too late. One source close to the couple even admitted this is the darkest chapter they've ever faced. Worse than the reality show cancellation, worse than the L.A. lawsuits, and even uglier than that infamous headlock incident that humiliated the whole family online. The emotional fallout is brutal. T.I. and Tiny are at each other's throats, while the rest of the family is stuck in the blast zone. If you take a step back, the stakes couldn't be higher. King, the pampered wild card of the Harris dynasty, now stares down a reality no fame can soften. With every breaking headline, with every frantic phone call from his father, the world is asking, is this the setup for a redemption arc?
So the dynamics here are interesting, but I can't judge how the parenting is gone, because everything that we've seen has been stuff that many of us would have said or similar if we saw our children do this. But I will say this. A lot of what's happening is because it's in the public. Like most children don't have to do this in the public.
Or the collapse of an entire family empire? And here's the chilling part. Sources say the ugliest truths about the ambush are still buried. What really went down in that block and how a famous last name actually plays out behind razor wire may be even darker than what's already out. We're watching in real time as incarceration tears apart the shiny facade of celebrity privilege. No matter how much money you've got, no matter how many connections you can call, prison runs on a different code. And King Harris, like countless others before him, is finding out the hard way. Those rules are carved in blood, enforced without hesitation. In there, respect ain't bought with autographs. It's earned through loyalty and grit. For high-profile inmates, the spotlight doesn't protect, it exposes. Survival depends on alliances and respect, and King's fame may have flipped him into the perfect target. Insiders insist this wasn't just about King Harris as a person. It was about the weight of what he represents. He stepped through those gates carrying the Harris name, the reality TV baggage, the notoriety, and that infamous rep as T.Y.'s wildest son. To men serving serious time, that's not clout. It's a lightning rod for jealousy, resentment, and unfinished business. Off the record, multiple correctional officers have admitted that high-profile inmates like King often get played as pawns in prison politics. One source who did time in the same Georgia system put it bluntly, they see someone with headlines and he becomes currency.
And you can, you know what I'm saying, kind of woo-saw yourself outside of the public opinion.
You make an example out of him, you send a message to the yard and to the outside world. Add in whispers of a busted contraband hustle and the constant cloud of Harris family scandals, and King was swimming with sharks from the moment he landed. But this ain't just fists and shanks, it's psychological warfare too. Every word, every side eye, every rumor in prison carries the weight of a threat. And King's privileged upbringing made him an easy target before he even unpacked his cell. Some inmates saw him as soft, pampered, out of place, living that private school life, starring in music videos and with lawyers on speed dial while they're scraping for commissary. Others hated the way he tried to puff his chest, talk tough, and act like a boss when everybody knew his street cred came more from reality TV cameras than actual corners. This tension isn't unique, it's part of a brutal pattern. Fame inside those walls flips into a liability fast. It becomes fuel for humiliation, hazing, and revenge. Rappers, athletes, even actors who've done time tell the same story. If you walk in holding a silver spoon, you're not untouchable. You're holding a target that everyone's aiming for. So what really happens when you're born into privilege, but spend your whole life trying to escape it? That's where King Harris's story takes a dark turn.
I really admire his dedication and commitment to the craft, because, you know, I kind of told him, you know, what was wrong about it.
His obsession with proving he was built for it might be the very thing that sealed his fate. In interview after interview, King swore up and down that he wasn't raised soft, that he hustled, struggled, and learned the codes of the street the hard way. "I stand on business," he declared in viral live streams and in his music. But anyone who knows that life knows the truth. Street credibility isn't served at a family cookout. It's earned the hard way, in blood, sweat, and scars. And the ones who push the hardest, desperate to prove they belong, are often the first ones broken down. So the question hangs heavy. Did King's relentless chase for authenticity drag him into dangerous circles? Was he trying to wedge himself into a world that was never going to fully embrace him? The result feels like a head-on crash between fantasy and reality. In the months before his arrest, King was spinning out. Public meltdowns one week, vulnerable confessions the next. Friends say he was living like every single day was a test he couldn't afford to fail. That viral clip of T.I. choking him into a headlock at the Falcons game over silver spoon taunts looks different now. Not just family drama, but a warning sign. King wanted so badly to carve out his own identity, to shake off the gated community label. He leaned into the wild card image, dropping cryptic posts, flashing his chain, and daring critics to test him. He was restless, angry, and let's be real, probably way in over his head.
Making mistakes. I ain't had no daddy who'll pull up and get on my ass anytime. Things I did, you can't get away with.
I know that.
That split identity, the privileged son trying to play street soldier, didn't just confuse his fans. It turned him into the perfect bait for predators inside looking to boost their own reputation off his name. When the ambush went down, the shockwaves reached far past the Harris family. Correctional officers, legal teams, even rival inmates all started weighing in. Was this just a random eruption of violence, or was King Harris the latest example of how celebrity names become targets in the prison jungle? Already, comparisons are being made to other high-profile attacks where fame turned from shield to curse. Now, prison administrators are reportedly scrambling to move King, not just to keep him alive, but to stop other inmates from cashing in on his notoriety. Inside, he's leverage, a pawn, a trophy. And on the outside, the Harris clan's meltdown is playing out for millions to judge in real time. T.I. is fighting tooth and nail for an early release, calling in every favor he can find. Meanwhile, the public is split right down the middle. Supporters flood the comments demanding compassion, while critics roast the irony of it all. A kid born into luxury, now broken down for trying to live a life that was never his to claim. Every headline blurs the line further. Was King Harris dragged into this chaos by the weight of an impossible legacy, or did he charge straight into the storm, thinking his fame would protect him from real consequences? That's the haunting question hanging over this saga. For T.I. and Tiny, the fallout is no longer just about public image. It's threatening to consume their entire household. Behind closed doors, lawyers are grinding day and night, trying to wrestle control of the narrative.
Man, damn. Yeah, that's I ain't see that one coming. You know
Really?
what I mean? Nah, I didn't.
But even inside the family, no one can agree on the next move. Some relatives whisper that too much noise could make King an even bigger target behind bars. Others snap back that silence is the same as surrender, and that speaking out is their only weapon. Meanwhile, the rest of the Harris kids are being dragged into the chaos, whether they like it or not. Rumors about paternity, old family feuds, and past scandals are bubbling back to the surface, forcing them to walk through a minefield of gossip and speculation. Every new leak, from a guard with loose lips to a so-called family friend chasing clout, throws gasoline on the fire, making it impossible to separate truth from rumor. And when you zoom out, the bigger picture is undeniable. King's nightmare is exposing the brutal reality of the justice system. Inside those walls, it doesn't matter if you're rich, famous, or the child of hip-hop royalty. No stack of family money, no media spin, no Hollywood lawyer can erase the fact that inside prison walls, the only currency is raw power. What started as a scuffle over respect has exploded into a fight for survival, not just for King Harris, but for the entire Harris legacy. And while T.I. pulls every string he can behind the curtain, trying to outplay a system that's chewed up countless lives, the chain reaction from this bloody prison ambush looks like it's only just beginning. King is clinging to life, and the storm around him is growing louder by the hour. So here's the real question. Are we witnessing the birth of a darker chapter for the Harris dynasty? Could this single attack inside those concrete walls unlock secrets and rivalries too big for any PR team to contain? Or is King simply paying the ultimate price for carrying a last name that's as heavy as it is famous? I want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Is King just another casualty of family fame? Or is there something even deeper driving this chaos? Don't forget to hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe so you don't miss the next twist in this wild saga. With the Harris family, the drama never sleeps. And trust me, the next turn is always closer than you think.